Hey there, my name is Cole Adams, and you are watching the best college basketball podcast out there that covers the entire sport of college basketball, brackets, bubbles, and bid stealers. Now, here are your hosts, Sam Fetterman and Jonathan Lidskin.
Season 6, Episode 64 of Brackets, Bubbles, and Bid Stealers. I am Sam Fetterman. That is Jonathan Lidskin. Jonathan, how you doing?
I'm good, Sam. It's been a while since we did like a normal preview episode like this. But
Yeah, it's been a while. We've had a lot of stuff going on. But Ryan Hammer, welcome back to Brackets, Bubbles, and Bid Stealers. I believe this is your first in-season pod appearance.
I'm going to be honest, I'm not sure. It's not the first time, and I don't know when we did it last.
Well, we did it for the Maryland previews.
It doesn't count to me.
Okay. So we've got a lot to go over. Big weekend. Not the biggest weekend of conference action. Obviously, the first full conference weekend of the year. Some big games, some litmus tests within the SEC as they open play. The Big 12, the schedule is not as good, honestly, as I would have hoped in the Big 12. But we'll have plenty to go over. Let's get started with the big one tonight at Pinnacle Bank between Michigan State and Nebraska. God, I'm really excited to see what Gary Parrish called Pinnacle Bank in the Final Four and one. I'm going to listen to that while I'm driving to Manhattan tonight. But let's start at Pinnacle Bank, where Michigan State goes up against undefeated Nebraska. The Spartans have a bunch of the big wins already. Obviously, they beat Arkansas, Kentucky, Carolina, Iowa. The only loss is to Duke. Nebraska is 13-0. They have that road win in Illinois. What are we expecting out of this one?
I love Nebraska. That's all I know. They're so much fun. Nebraska ball. I'm so excited. The place is going to be rocking, too. It's going to be a lot of fun. But I feel like litmus test, you said, for the SEC, you said it. But like Nebraska is obviously good, but how good are they? Like, I think we're going to find out tonight. It's pretty simple because like Illinois has been so inconsistent, and they had them in that game, and it was back and forth for a little while, and they look great. But I think do it again versus a team that is pretty much always on their game in some capacity, and this will just tell us a lot about Nebraska.
Jonathan?
Yeah, Nebraska's a team that doesn't foul a whole bunch, and I'm interested to see them play against Jeremy Fears and Cohen Carr, who do a really good job drawing fouls. I think that might be the key matchup to watch out for. How often can Michigan State get to the line? And how well does Michigan State's defense travel against this Nebraska team in a place that's surprisingly really tough to win?
Yeah, I mean, Nebraska is like not a very heavy ball screen offense. They love to spread the floor. It's kind of all about kind of getting up threes, finding a way, playing with big spacing, passing the ball, and creating driving lanes off of that. Mm-hmm. Now, this is obviously not something that like needs to be read into a ton, but Michigan State's last opponent, another team that doesn't run a ton of ball screens, shoots a ton of threes, creates driving lanes with spacing. Cornell scored 97 points on Michigan State. Mm-hmm. I think part of that is that just kind of the type of game that it plays, and Nebraska doesn't quite play that type of game. And Cornell's probably just a little bit, and Cornell's obviously just in a different type of atmosphere than Nebraska is in this sense. So I don't think the game plays out exactly the same as that, but I do think it's something to note. But Michigan State is still the type of team that can dominate on the glass. And for me, this is going to come down to whether Fears is kind of able to control the game, because I think the faster the game, the less Fears is able to maybe control it. You look at some of those games that they've played. Obviously, the Kentucky game was kind of a lot about Kentucky as much as it was about Michigan State. But the North Carolina game and the Iowa game were both very slow-paced games, and those were games that Fears had complete control over. I'm interested, and Nebraska is not a team that is super, super fast, but I think they want to speed it up. And I'm definitely interested to see if Nebraska can keep Fears from kind of controlling the tempo and pace of the game, because I don't think of Nebraska as like ridiculously disruptive, even though they are a very good defensive team this year.
They remind me a little bit of like Not as much as Creighton's defensive personnel the last couple of years. Not this year. I'm not saying that this year. I'm saying before with the actual good players. But in a way that like Creighton was like a weird team where they would play decent defense and they needed to. They didn't foul a lot. They like put you into hard shots, and then they want to basically run you up offensively and be like, okay, we're gonna like just come match us basically on the other side, and we're gonna do our best to stop you. And your point, Sam, like Nebraska, I don't think of them as just like prolific defense, but defensively they've been good. I think the game will be written in the 3-point shooting, where Michigan State overall, look at their numbers, they've been good, and like I think you come away most games lately feeling very positive about their shooting. What they hit last game against, they kind of had to in the Cornell game, but it 93s last game. And when you look at their box score and their game logs, like they took 28 threes last game, 22 before that, 18 before that, 3 games before that, they were 3 of 12 against Iowa. Like depending on the game script, it's very, very hit or miss within the flow. And Nebraska is a team who almost like they don't let you shoot threes, but they want you to shoot and they want to contest and make those looks tough. And they're going to come down the other end and usually do the same thing, like you said, with kind of like 5-out spread offense. But I think that'll be the tell of the tale, basically. Is Michigan State going to shoot a lot? Are they going to play into a little bit of a tempo race? And if they do, like, again, is Michigan State a good shooting team? I don't know. Numbers say they are. Do you consider them as this like dangerous, sharp shooting team? No, we'd rather play Michigan State in a shootout than anything else. So,
Jonathan, anything else?
Yeah, they don't shoot a lot of threes. Like the percentages may look good, but they take the open ones because eventually teams force them to. And like credit to them for making the ones that teams give them. But yeah, they are not a great 3-point shooting team. I just think it's so interesting. These two teams, there's not like one guy on either team that like I think you're game planning to stop from scoring. Like obviously like Mass can score, Sanford can score, Michigan State has got guys that can score, but nobody that you're like super worried about taking over the game and scoring 30 on you. It's just two teams that are really tough to game plan for, and both are really well coached as well.
Yeah, I mean, I think like if Price Sanford gets going like he did against Illinois, they'll score 30. But you're probably not beating Nebraska if Price Sanford is scoring 30, as evidenced by they go on the road and score and allow 1.27 points per possession to a top 25 defense and still win that game because they're getting so much from Sanford, and they didn't turn it over in that game either. Again, I think Michigan State physically can control this game on the glass. I don't know if they can. I do think though that Nebraska's guard defenders are maybe a little better than what we want to give them credit for or have given them credit for at times. And maybe they make life a little more difficult for Fears, and he can't control the tempo, and Nebraska hits some shots, and that'll do it. But maybe Michigan State kind of comes in and hits some early shots, gets Nebraska on its heels. And I want to see Nebraska kind of play on its heels because they got out to that huge lead against Illinois. We did see them play on their heels in the Oklahoma game. They got down big in that first half and came back, but Oklahoma can't guard a nosebleed. So I do want to kind of see Nebraska play on their heels. I'm interested to see what that looks like at this point in the season. And
yeah, I'm just not 100% sure that like this road environment's going to rattle Michigan State in ways that it would other teams.
No.
But again, I don't think Nebraska is not an inexperienced team itself. Like I know you don't think.
No, I'm just saying like from the road aspect, like you don't have a bunch of young guys coming in here. These are mostly like veteran dudes who have played for multiple years on the road in these kind of games.
Yeah, and I will though also say Michigan State's only true road game to this point, they needed kind of the Divine Ugochukwu legacy game to beat Penn State. So that is definitely something to note, that Michigan State didn't fare particularly well on the road compared to what you would have expected from them in that game. But I do think that this game will – I don't think they'll play in a way that they need Ugochukwu to hit 5 threes in order to beat Nebraska. If he does hit 5 threes, they're definitely going to beat Nebraska is what I'll say. Anyone have a bold prediction or a prediction in general for this game?
I don't know if
I think
do.
Michigan State's going to win.
Yeah, I think I agree. It's the best defense that Nebraska's faced to this point.
Yeah,
if I had to make a pick, I'd go the same way, I think. But man, I want Nebraska. They're so much better. Like they always do this every year. I feel like Nebraska, where they play a week non-con schedule. They're good. How good are they? And then throughout Big Ten play, you're kind of like, all right, they're not bad. Like they're decent. That's kind of how it's been for at least one or two of the last few years, and it feels that way now, but to a much higher level than we've seen before.
Yeah,
I think that like
I think like a lot of credit to them for going on the road and beating Illinois, but the way Illinois plays defense is like very susceptible to the type of performance that Nebraska had in that game. And I think it's going to be tougher against the Michigan State team that is a little more disciplined on that end.
Yeah, I'm with you. All right, let's move on. The next game to discuss tomorrow, Virginia, NC State. But before we get into that, Virginia Tech was a wild one, triple overtime on Wednesday. Virginia Tech got the win 95-85. Jakari White didn't play. Tyler Johnson didn't play. Ben Hammond, Jonathan, that was our guy last year, came off the bench, had 30. So Virginia Tech's now 12-2. Virginia's 11-2. Any takeaways from that game? Because I don't think we're going to have a Virginia Tech discussion later in the show.
I wish they were both fully healthy. Like Virginia Tech obviously missing Lual. I think Johnson also, right? But Jakari White is they missed Jakari White so much already. Like I know it's really early on. They ended up getting 20-something from Malik Thomas, but I think he had scored at least like 10 or 12 in the overtime periods alone. And they're going to need everything that they expected out of him when he was at San Francisco, like what they got out of him last game, because their explosiveness is just not there. I actually liked how Virginia Tech defended them well too with size, and it was a little bit of a dogfight, but I like both teams. I wish they were both healthy. Virginia is definitely a tournament team, fully healthy. I firmly still believe that Virginia Tech is also, but are they going to be fully healthy? And like, can they push a Duke, Carolina, Louisville teams like in the ACC games? Like we'll see, because even without Jakari White, pushing Virginia like they did is still a positive sign. So hopefully they get fully healthy soon and they can compete with those teams at the top, because as long as they take care of business in the bottom part of the ACC, like they should be a tournament team.
My takeaway from that game that kind of brings me to the Jonathan, if you want to go.
I was just gonna say, like, good win for Virginia Tech. Obviously, well, these guys will play again at the end of the year. An important game for them to have. But I think what is encouraging for Virginia Tech is you got monster performances from two guys who you don't expect to be your, leading scorers. Like Abdallas and Hansberry both had bad games by their standards, and at least on the offensive end, and they still were able to win the game.
Yeah.
Yep. And then my kind of takeaway from this, at least on the side that it relates to the Virginia NC State game, is that Virginia didn't really have as dominant of a performance on the glass as you would expect against a team that in Virginia Tech that's outside the top 200 in defensive rebounding rate. Virginia as a they were, I think, probably top 5 coming into this game in offensive rebounding rate. So maybe Virginia isn't just going to smoke everyone on the offensive glass in the ACC, get second chances whenever it wants. Maybe that first shot is a little bit more important. Obviously, they're still an efficient offense on the first shot, 40th in effective field goal percentage. I don't know exactly what it is on the first shot exactly, but NC State is a good defensive rebounding team. They are 30th in the country in that. They did a good job on the defensive glass against Wake Forest. And again, as we know, NC State not a super physical interior defense, and Virginia's physicality on the inside with DeRitter and Grunlow and on Yenso. And if their guards can get in the paint, which I think sometimes they can, Thomas definitely a little bit for sure. And I look at Virginia and I say, can NC State handle the interior punch and kind of punch back and match them on the glass, which I think maybe they're able to do that. But I think on the NC State side of this can NC State like make first shots? Because I don't think they're going to get a ton of offensive rebounds in this game themselves. and their games, I think if you look at some of their games, some of their high major games, the Seton Hall, Auburn, Wake, and Kansas games were all below 50 effective field goal percentage, and they didn't get to the line quite as much in those games as they did in some of their other games. So I'm definitely like keeping my eye open about NC State's offense. Did not have a terrific performance offensively against Wake, only under 1 point per possession. I know that Wake's a good defensive team, but again, something to keep an eye on. Quadir Copeland shooting 54% from three, like Trey Holloman shooting 44% from three, Darion Williams shooting 41% from three. Like, are these things that we can keep on looking at down the road? And NC State's defense has gotten up from 90th to 34th over the last month. I'm still not sure that their defense is that good.
Can I say that that's like entirely 3-point shooting variance, or like almost entirely? Like, look at the percentages that like these teams in the last month have shot against them from three.
But
I was
this
going
is
to say
again,
the Liberty game. The Liberty game alone is like their defense skyrocketed metrically.
Yeah, and I think that's some Liberty maybe not as good as
I'm
we
looking at the
thought.
same thing defensively for NC State. Like the man Brandon Chambers, the defensive coordinator over there, like they are all about like intensity, swarming the ball, like where they need to. So like whether they're going to be denying entry balls or like doubling on the post or whatever that's going to be, I think that's like Sam, you said it before about the bigs, the Ritter, Young, Grunlow, and Onyenso. Like that's a problem for most teams in the country, especially NC State with their interior presence. So I'm intrigued to see kind of how they go after it. I think they'll probably prioritize the guards because the guards weren't great for Virginia against a big Virginia Tech team that made that a priority. And Chance Mallory wasn't great, and Dallin Hall. And then they needed Malik Thomas to kind of dig them out a little bit, where when they had Jakari White, it's for them. And then all of a sudden that completely changes the game because you could have three of them on the court. You could rotate one out. You could have two different ones. And so I think that's kind of where they go with it. But I'm super intrigued to based on what you guys are saying too. Like the defense is improving on paper. Is it fully set together from a defensive coaching staff that we have trusted before? We'll see.
Jonathan?
Yeah, I'm worried in this one that Virginia is just going to come out and handle ball pressure and handle the double teams that they'll see and get a bunch of open shots and hit threes. Like that was the bad recipe for NC State early in the season. I'm worried that's going to come back in this game. It feels like a poor matchup to me.
Yeah. Again, like you look at the offenses that they've played, NC State in that stretch, like Kansas, not a terrific offensive team for 53rd. Liberty was 71st, but we know like Mississippi's 83rd, not good for a high major. Wake Forest 100th, not good for a high major. And then like Asheville and Texas Southern, obviously not.
I also will say, Sam, you mentioned the 3-point percentages for some of the individual NC State players.
And Virginia's kind of the same.
I don't think Trey Holloman's a 44% 3-point shooter, but like I also think Matt Abel's better than 32%. So I think it kind of evens out a little bit.
Yeah. I would also say I think there's like Virginia is shooting some really high percentages with some guys.
They got guys who can light it up.
Yeah,
those guys are
that's kind of their thing. Like that like you look at their roster, that's kind of what you expected them to be. Yeah. Although Thomas is not shooting quite what you thought. I think at some point, like Thomas obviously had the big performance late, but still shot 2 for 9 in that game against Virginia Tech. I think if he really gets going, Virginia could be like really, really dangerous. And I think eventually they will be, especially if they get White fully healthy back. I know he had surgery, White.
Yeah, I think he's out 4 to 6 weeks, they said, or something like that. I might be mistaken.
But definitely important game, I think, for both sides here.
For sure.
Kentucky and Alabama, think they expect Phylon to play. I think they also expect Lowe to play for Kentucky. I'm not so sure about that. Obviously, Quaintance.
He'll probably play and then not play and then also play again after that.
Yeah, and then Quaintance is back, obviously, for Kentucky. I think they're just so much different of a team with him on the floor. I do think with him, Kentucky can kind of bully Alabama on the inside, and I think that's going to be my concern about Alabama throughout the year is that I just don't think that they are physically as as physical and as strong in the post and down low as some of these other teams will be in the SEC. And obviously, you have unbelievable guards, Pylon and Holloway, and you know that those guys can get a bucket basically at will. I don't know if they're going to. I don't think that they are. Again, I said this against Arizona, and they got totally slaughtered on the on the glass as a whole. They got slaughtered throughout that entire game, and I think Kentucky is just identity changes with Queens. You're so much more physical, and they are. I think they can be physical as who they are in general, with Diabate and with whoever is going to be in the 5 as well with Queens and Moreno it can be physical too. Their backcourt again still kind of remains a little bit of a question mark for me, but I think that the front court just gets so much of an edge. The team gets so much of an edge when Quaintance is out there. And I do think that Kentucky can control the game physically, but if Alabama can get the matchups they want, if Alabama can hunt the right matchups in the backcourt, that can flip any game fast.
Those guards fry everybody that steps in front of them, basically. Like Aiden Holloway's been so good this year. And people talk about LeBaron because he's been arguably the best point guard in the entire country, but Aiden has been so good also. Like when they're fully healthy, true, between Houston Millette, Latrell Wrightsell, even when like Taylor Bowen size that can space and shoot and create. I know that Mark Pope, I think at least he still wants to play that same style he played last year, which is very Alabama friendly, run and gun, very friendly, very similar to a lot of the SEC teams realistically. If they do that, I think Alabama is going to manhandle them because they're going to just why would you try to run the floor in Alabama? It's the last thing you should try to do, no matter who you are besides Georgia, I guess, because Georgia are crazy people. But I just think they're going to succumb into that style. And if Alabama hits shots early, it's like every matchup for them. If they hit shots early and you try to keep up with them, good luck because Kentucky's been so inconsistent offensively. They look better. Like Otega look more of an alpha. His best game of the season a week ago, 2 weeks ago. But I just feel like if they play into an SEC type Alabama style, Alabama's going to run them out of the gym.
Jonathan?
I kind of like Alabama's ability here to limit Jaden Quayton's impact on the defensive end. Like they're shooting more threes than they ever have under Nate Oates, which feels crazy to say. And like it's not a byproduct of like them shooting more like mid-range twos or anything like that. Like they just like are playing to their personnel, and it's resulted in really good offense so far for them this season. So I think as many Alabama games do, like it boils down to how many threes is Bama going to make. I do think that like Kentucky will be able to get a lot inside, and Moreno as well as Quaintance can have a big offensive game here. But if Alabama's going to come out here and just bang a bunch of threes to start the game, and Kentucky goes on their heels on the road, we'll see.
That's another thing to keep an eye on with Kentucky. How can they react in a road environment? This is a team that we've documented throughout the year has had its fair share of kind of effort questions, if you like to say, body language questions. If they go down on the road in SEC play, what does that look like? And I think that's they haven't played a true road game since Louisville on November 11th. And they got down in that game. They almost made it back.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Anyone else? Anything on Kentucky, Alabama?
Negative.
Yeah, I think I'm good on this one.
Auburn, Georgia. Maybe, I mean, we haven't talked a ton about Georgia because they haven't really had they haven't really had big games, but this is
they've played nobody.
I mean, Clemson's
you
not
could say
nobody, but
they played Clemson.
Really
sorry, it's one game.
Their schedule has been very weak. 344th overall strength of schedule per KenPom. I believe that is probably
That's atrocious. That's embarrassing, honestly.
It's the fourth lowest, only the fourth lowest in the SEC. Jonathan, give me the 3 teams that have a worse strength of schedule so far in the SEC than Georgia.
Ooh,
One of them's Missouri,
Yes.
so
correct.
bad.
which is been a long-standing complaint of mine. I'll say Missouri does. I don't feel like Texas A&M has played anyone.
Correct. Texas A&M 346 in strength of schedule right now.
And then maybe South Carolina.
South Carolina 360.
There we
I
go.
thought LSU was going to be down there.
Now,
They might
LSU has also played nobody, it feels like.
LSU 295.
295. Oh my God, what's wrong with the SEC schools and playing nobody in non-con? And
Well,
then
that's
you have
the thing.
Bama on the other hand.
That's the thing. I feel like we've talked so much about Alabama. We've talked so much about Kentucky. We've talked so much about Arkansas.
They play people.
There's certain SEC teams and Auburn as well, Florida, SEC teams that have played gauntlet schedules so far, and we've talked a lot about them. Because
It feels like there's no median with these teams in the SEC. Like you either play a really, really tough non-con or you play absolutely no one.
I mean, Vanderbilt was 127th, and everyone talks about how
that's generous. 127 is generous.
I don't think it's generous. They played 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 top 75 teams, including 4 top 45 teams. Like they didn't play. They don't have any top 25 opponents on there, but there's depth on that schedule.
They just they played a bunch of okay teams, which
where the drop off is. There's the clear drop off to the teams that they've played for the most part that are good.
Yeah, I mean UCF, VCU, St. Mary's, SMU, Memphis, Wake Forest.
Memphis, oh my God.
Yeah, but Memphis on the road.
Memphis honestly might have been their top
probably was
toughest game, regardless of what the metrics say.
Yeah, that's fair.
All right. Back to Auburn, Georgia, though. Anyone want to start with this?
I've watched a minimal amount of Georgia. I've watched them and studied them enough to know how they play and who they are, what they're good at and bad at. But it's just if they beat Auburn, what does that even? Unless they beat them by a million, does that really tell us much? Because I don't think Auburn's been very good and they've been very chaotic schematically wise. They've been changing everything and so inconsistent. I have mixed feelings on the game itself. In Athens.
Yeah, it's Stegman.
Interesting.
Yeah, I kind of think that
I'm curious to see what the environment looks like. Does Georgia
football season's over?
Football season's over. But do Georgia fans care that they're 12-1?
No, they won't care. It's still winter break also. There's gonna be no one there.
Yeah, I mean
probably be a lot of Auburn fans. They travel everywhere.
Yeah, they
do. They do.
It's a 3-hour drive. They'll be there. It's right next to Atlanta. They'll be there.
Yeah.
Well, right next to Atlanta means 3-hour drive through Atlanta. Because
or around it. I don't know. Whatever. I don't know how it works down there.
Atlanta traffic.
Yeah, it's like 45 minutes from Atlanta.
But yeah.
But it's not far. It's not far at all.
No. But yes. The point being, this is certainly an interesting kind of where is Georgia at right now? Because I don't really think anyone truly knows. I don't think we'll know coming out of this game, but we'll have a better idea. We'll have a better idea after the Florida. I think that's the thing about the SEC. It's even South Carolina is bad, but outside of that, I feel basically every SEC team is at least going to be somewhat competitive in these types of games. Georgia's just so deep. They have so many bodies, and that's kind of their thing. They're playing super fast. They're throwing so many different bodies out there and at you, and they want to be super, super physical. Get in the paint, get to the rim. Look at how much, if you look at just the type of size that they have in the paint, and the guards that are just kind of going to barrel down and get into the paint as well. That's just something that Auburn wants, that Georgia's going to want to do. And I feel like I'd feel better about Auburn if they had one more body in this game, because Auburn's not a particularly deep team, but I do think Auburn does have the athleticism in what they do have to match Georgia. It's just do they have the bodies to last against Georgia? And that's one of the things to keep an eye on. Georgia took this note. No games this season with a turnover rate above 20 on offense, which is really nice for a team that plays that fast. But we'll also mention that their top 3 games in turnover rate were 3 of their 4 games against high major opponents. Their games against Clemson, Florida State, and Cincinnati. And I think Auburn is probably the most athletic team that they'll face at this point. So, again, just that's a note to have. Can Auburn kind of force Georgia to turn it over a little more than they have? And how much will that matter? Auburn, if you recall, they have 4 losses, but 3 of them are like the blowout variety to elite teams, and then the other one is Houston by 1, and Houston's creeping back up to that elite level. I don't think they were quite there at that point at the time that game was played, but regardless, I do think there will be interesting developments to come out of this game.
I kind of think Auburn might be okay playing that really fast pace. Like they have the athletes to play that fast. Their defense
have the bodies.
Their defense has not reflected the quality of athlete they have, though.
Yeah, no, I don't think that's necessary. Jonathan, second worst free throw defense in the country.
I know.
Hey, that's huge.
It's that's got to swing back in their favor at some point, right?
You said second worst.
Yeah, second worst.
Yeah,
Purdue Fort Wayne is the only team that has a worse free throw percentage.
Jonathan.
I wonder where
Loyola Chicago 362nd in free throw defense.
Because no one's there.
So much positive regression is coming.
There's no one there. There's no one behind the basket in the student section. That's the problem. So it's easy to shoot. It's like in practice shooting for opposing teams. Auburn, they've played away a lot in neutral sites. Come on, fans. It's a home game for them. It's okay. That's crazy.
Yeah.
I still think going on the road, like, interest in general, no matter how many Auburn fans are there. I think I think that there's compounding factors to what makes winning on the road difficult that goes beyond the other team's fans are there. Because I've been to games where, most of college basketball, it's not like a massive crowd anywhere. Like, you get a lot of, at some level, and it elevates it. But I think home court advantage goes beyond the idea of just rowdy fans.
Yeah, Georgia's gym is weird too. It's very strange. The scoreboard is like massive right behind one of the baskets. It's a very strange gym.
Yeah.
I saw someone tweet at me, someone tell me what team was it? Damn. One team specifically shoots very poorly in weird unorthodox gyms. And I was like, okay. You could be honest up in here, but I already forgot it. I got to write this stuff down.
I think we're going to learn something about this. I think we're going to learn something in this game. I don't know. And I think that's honestly what I like the most about the conference, like the first weekend of conference play, is that we learn things without question. Like, we will definitely learn something. Is it going to give us a final answer? No, we don't need the final answer until
it could. March. If Auburn wins by 30, you have your answer.
I forgot who said this the other day on Twitter, but like the first couple weeks of conference play is like when we figure out like what teams have gotten scouted. And like they're right. Like, it's a lot easier to scout in conference play because, first of all, most of the coaches are there like previously, and like all these coaches have played against each other and know each other's styles. And like you've also had 2 months before conference play starts to get a look at these teams.
Yeah. Also, we'll note Georgia new offensive coordinator this year, Todd Abernethy, was with Dusty at FAU. Was, I think, also with White at Florida before that. So again, it's not necessarily the same scheme that White has been running the last few years, as we kind of already know, given the pace difference, just wild pace difference. Another SEC game, Tennessee and Arkansas. Ryan, you want to get us started here?
Love the Hogs. I love watching them play because you have no idea what you're going to get every night. It's amazing. Classic Coach Cal team. I think it comes down to Tennessee's offensive capabilities. That sounds like every game for them. The 3 games they've lost, they've shot in like saw it this morning, like 28, 30, and 30% from three in their 3 losses in a row. It feels very similar to the past Tennessee teams, but they don't have a Dalton Connect. They don't even have a Chaz Lanier realistically. I do love Jacoby. They have a couple of guys who can play and get it offensively, but their offensive capabilities correlating to their struggles and strengths very often it's a much more volatile range of outcome, I think, for the Tennessee teams. And Arkansas statistically has defended the 3 ball relatively well. They have athletes. They're at home. I think this is a game that Arkansas comes out firing and their talent kind of gets them going. And that would benefit them very much if Tennessee has to play in an offensive battle. So I said a lot about Arkansas, where if you play their style, they're probably going to beat you because they're on talent-wise, they're going to be better than you. But if you don't, you crunch them down like Houston did, made them uncomfortable, like games in your hands. And Tennessee can do that. I just think they're gonna have to lay into it a little bit in Bud Walton.
Jonathan?
I kind of think Tennessee's going to try to keep playing this bully ball with Jalen Carey.
Yeah, I think that's a good.
Especially because Arkansas's front court is like really thin, so like if they get in foul trouble, advantage Tennessee, right? Also, just a really, really fun point guard matchup. Gillespie versus Acuff, super exciting to watch. Both guys make plays, can really shoot the ball too.
Yeah, and kind of Gillespie and Boswell, those two defenders against Acuff and Thomas and Wagner, whoever Arkansas throws next to him in the backcourt. But I think that's a real test. And we've seen Acuff be tested. He's played some really, really good teams already, and some of the results against the good teams have been really good. Some have not. But I'm really looking forward to watching how Acuff responds in this game. It is a home game. It is at Bud Walton, as Ryan mentioned.
They get crazy.
Really want to see him in another one of those road games. But as Ryan, you mentioned it, Tennessee's shooting in their top 100 games. They're I believe 5 top 100 games. They have made 5.8 threes per game in those games. Oof. That's not going to get it done against Arkansas. Yeah, that's not going to get it done again. And like in the wins, though, it was like 7.
Yeah,
7 against Tennessee, 7 against Tennessee, and 5 against Houston. So like again, yeah, 5.8 probably not going to get it done on a given night. But I also think that Tennessee's game is kind of reflective, independent of whether they're making their outside shots or not. I don't think Tennessee is necessarily the type of team that you're going to see them come out on any night and hit 10, 11 threes, hit 12 threes. And like at this point, we have to evaluate Tennessee for what it is with that knowledge. So Tennessee
just limits their ceiling. It limits their ceiling a lot and in games like this when they're playing. If Arkansas is firing on all cylinders, like it's going to be a problem for them. And Jonathan mentioned before, like the point guard matchup. I think the story that whoever wins this game, like are Arkansas's guards, other guards and wings, are they on or are they off? It's that simple. Malik Thomas has been very on or very off, and Carter Knox can be very on or very off, and Trevor Brazile has mostly been on, but he's had a couple of games where he's off. The Houston game, he basically sat the bench the entire first half because he got a little foul trouble, and then he wasn't playing well. And like a lot of their guys are very inconsistent outside of Darius Acuff, it feels like. And basically, what version of Malik Thomas and everybody in Carter Knox are they getting? Actually, take that back. Sorry, Darius Acuff and Billy Richmond, the best player in the country. Forgot about that.
Yeah. I wonder if Acuff, like when you kind of say, oh, your most consistent player is your freshman point guard, like Acuff's awesome. And I've been super, super high on him for a long time now, but that's not exactly the thing that you want to hear, that your most consistent player is your freshman point guard. And we've seen maybe Arkansas, if Acuff's frustrated by Boswell and Gillespie defensively, which I think is a possible outcome for this game, will Arkansas kind of be able to shoot their way out of it? Their wings have shot at a really high level this year, but I don't know how sustainable that is. I don't think Carter Knox is a 47% 3-point shooter. I think, as Jonathan mentioned, Tennessee's offensive strength, kind of getting it to bully down low with Carey. Maybe their best offense has been that. And again, not exactly a good thing that that's their best offense. But I think that in this game can slow it down, take the ball out of the hands of the Arkansas guards, and kind of force that game on them, force the bully game. And I think I really trust Rick Barnes in this spot. But again, who knows at Bud Walton, Tennessee going on the road. But I don't think Tennessee is necessarily the type of team that they're like, I don't think they're going to be necessarily like super, super different at home and on the road. I know that we've seen that split at this point so far, but I kind of think that their defense, their way that they play, it can travel a little better than what we've seen. So I'm curious to see how this plays out.
One more thing. I do not understand Calipari's fascination with Nick Pringle and playing him more than Malik Ewan, who in my eyes is very clearly better.
He was so good, Malik Ewan, in the Houston game.
Yeah.
And someone behind me was like, who is this guy? I'm like, he was supposed to be your best player at one
point. Yeah. All right, let's move on to what might be the most watchable college basketball game of the entire season in our big game preview segment, Akron and Miami. Ryan, you've been talking about this game for a while. Miami just pulled off, they went to Bowling Green, a really good team in that league. Miami lost its starting point guard Evan Ipsero for the season. Went to Bowling Green and then just eviscerated Bowling Green's defense. And Bowling Green is probably the best defensive team in that conference. And they put 50 on them in the first half. It was a 30-point game at halftime. 36 points in the second 10 minutes of that game for Miami. They made 11 threes. They were unstoppable basically everywhere. Antoine Woolfolk got them started. Brant Byers and Peter Suter got the job done. But for me, the key for them in that game and probably going forward is Luke Scaliac. And Scaliac handled the pressure that Javonte Campbell brings. Javonte Campbell is one of the best ball hawks in the country, 5.3 steal percentage. That ranks 8th. And we've seen him have, did he have a double-digit steal game last year? I feel like he didn't, but he had an 8 steal game this year. He's multiple 6 steal games. That's kind of his game. And Scaliac only turned it over 3 times. Yeah, Miami turned it over 16 times as a team, which, again, that's a little bit high for what you want. It's a 21% turnover rate. But if you, Bowling Green turns you over a ton as a thing, and Scaliac was still able to create offense within that while not being turned over a ridiculous amount. They didn't fall victim to inexperienced point guard against a terrific on ball defender. This game, Bowling Green's a much better defense than Akron, and they're much better. But they're also much better. Akron's a much better offense than Bowling Green.
Akron
These
rocks,
are two ridiculous offensive teams. I know Miami, Ohio is only 73rd. Part of that is coming from the fact that they've played the number 359 schedule. This is a rematch of last year's MAC championship game that Miami, Ohio had an 18-point first half lead in, and then Akron came back and kind of nicked it at the end with a 13-2 run. Obviously different players. Nate Johnson was in that game. Isaiah Gray was in that game. But Akron is even better this year. They're number 12 in the country in offense. And both of these teams can initiate offense in different places from different guys. Both of these teams can really shoot. Just so watchable.
John, do you guys still have a house phone there?
Yeah.
Wow. That's magical. That's nostalgic right there. That's my thoughts on Akron basketball.
They won't get rid of it.
This game is going to be awesome. This game is going to rock. If you don't have ESPN Plus, go get it. Find a login because
if you don't have ESPN Plus and you're listening to Brackets, Bubbles, and Bid Steelers, there's probably I think the Venn diagram is pretty.
The correlation is just one big circle. Everyone's in there. Yeah. Awesome game. Miami, they play the Akron style that Akron did last year. Smallest team in the country. They're still almost the smallest team in the country. Lights out, everybody can shoot, everybody gets the green light within reasonable respect and fast tempo. And John Gross is awesome. And they Miami system replicates that pretty well. So it'll be super. Like this game should have, I don't know, 180 points minimum. Absolute. It feels like minimum. I mean, what if one team gets cold or both, whatever that is, but it feels like it's just going to be shot for shot for shot for shot for shot. And like you said, Sam, should be absolute, like one of the most enjoyable games to watch from a neutral perspective. I imagine it's going to be packed house there, very good environment. Miami's biggest game of the year. It's Miami, Ohio's biggest game outside of the conference championship games that they've been in like last year. And I don't know, when in recent memory that I can remember at least, because they're undefeated right now. People wrote them off before the Bowling Green game. Like they haven't played anybody. Bowling Green's going to steamroll them. I saw that way too much in my replies and comments. And I was like, I don't think it's that simple. I didn't think they were going to cook them like that without their point guard. But very, very fun teams. If Miami wins this game, they're going to be eyeing up a much different rest of the season than they did before this game, if that makes sense. Because like if you beat Akron, best team in your conference, and Bowling Green, the two best teams other than you, you're undefeated. Theoretically, you shouldn't lose a game the rest of the year. Obviously, they will at some point, but
they are favored in every game besides this one.
Right. So they will lose a game at some point, even if they win tomorrow. Obviously, they only play Akron once, which is huge. I noticed. But
it's at home.
Yeah. So, like, why can't you get an at-large bid if you win this game tomorrow? So.
Yeah, it would be a conversation that we would have to have until they would inevitably lose at some point, probably multiple times. That I don't like. Ken Pom says 13-5 in the conference. I think that's like maybe they go 14-4, but I think reasonable to assume. And I also think that we've kind of been looking at this conference and saying, I think overall it's kind of the best that the MAC has been in a bit, probably the best it's been since that Jason Preston Ohio team. It was in it, but Akron is one of the better MAC teams we've seen since that Buffalo team with Nate Oates, and according to the metrics, and I want to see them back that up. I want to see what happens in this game. Can they show that they're a tier above the rest of the conference, like the metrics believe they are?
Yeah, imagine they just come and they win like 120 to like 80, and they just wipe the floor. They can score
last year,
one of these teams scoring 120
last year, they were both
6-0.
Last year, these teams were both 6-0 coming into January 25th. And we talked about this on the pod, if you remember. Akron crushed them. They won by 27.
They were much better than them last year. I think they still are better. If we're making predictions, I think Akron wins the game, but it should be fun. A lot better than last year. Jonathan, if someone puts 120 up, would be surprised. Murray State put up 115 on Akron in regulation.
Yeah.
I'll take Akron as well. Like this is just such a good mid-major roster, and like nothing against Miami, Ohio, but like, I mean, like these guards that Akron has, and like, you know, the physicality of some of their wings, like the Mahafis, like it's a super fun team. I don't know how they're gonna scale up, like, you know, if they get to that point, but like it's not that point. It's a road game in conference, and it's another really good team. Sam, you're absolutely right about the watchability of this. Like, it's just a really good basketball game that's going to be played at an incredible pace.
All right. Speaking of mid-major games to watch, Hawaii at UC San Diego.
Another one.
While doing prep for this, Hawaii is the reverse Akron. Hawaii, 206th offense, 15th defense. Akron, 12th offense, 208th defense.
Hawaii rocks. They're good every year, but they're never really good. They've been good for a couple of years. I know they have lanky defense, aggressive, a lot of deflections, very disruptive. I love Hawaii. I also love UC San Diego. Very, very interesting. I have friends of the program, so we try to take both sides. I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
I mean, I love how Hawaii plays. They're really good.
My thing with this is like nobody gets threes up on Hawaii,
No.
And like UC San Diego isn't like a chuck everything up team, but they do like I think they thrive when they're making their outside shots. But like Hawaii is also their effective height is big, but like UC San Diego is also pretty big for a mid-major team. Their guards are big. Prosper and Beatty are guys that have size, and Leo Beef is a big guy that is kind of a 4-man that can shoot, and Danged it as a roll man. I wonder if Deng Did is going to match up physically with Johnson for Hawaii. And obviously Hawaii's just big as a whole, as a general rule. Nemeska and Rulidev, or I don't even know how you say his name. I feel like I've watched enough Hawaii to know.
What is Hawaii? They're 43rd in effective height. What's UC San Diego? Probably far down there. They are 115th. You're 43rd as a Big West team. That's massive. That's huge.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Wonder if this kind of becomes, hey, can UC San Diego unlock the game with Alex Chaikin hitting a couple threes, with Aiden Burke hitting a couple threes, as those guys are kind of their off ball snipers. And I wonder if they can do that, because almost all of what UC San Diego does comes either off the pick and roll or off the catch. And I want to see them do something off the catch, because Hawaii's defense can kind of limit the off the dribble stuff getting to the basket.
Yeah, it's weird to me, because Hawaii is a team who theoretically should travel well, but obviously they have to travel really far compared to like a normal road trip for most teams.
We'll also say they just went on the road to UC Riverside and won by 43.
So, yeah, we've all heard defense travels. Their defense is good in pretty much all facets of what defense is, except for turning you over. They rebound, they protect the rim.
Elite free throw defense.
They don't give up threes, nor do they really let you shoot threes. So it's just it's tough to like play make against them. It's just a really good all around defense, and
disciplined.
I think they could really surprise some people if they come in here and make a statement.
I'd rather, looking at it from a power point of view, because like a lot of people don't know a lot about these teams. Again, your guys' audience, to your point, probably does. If I'm a power team, I'd rather play against UC San Diego in the month of March than Hawaii, I think, with how they're set up. Even though UC San Diego's system was proven to be dangerous last year, their team was ridiculous last year, like unbelievable and special and unique. I would not – the way Hawaii plays is so disruptive and just unpleasant to play against that if you haven't seen something like that in a while and you're not used to that style, it could just completely throw you off in a game.
Yeah, I think I'm with you. I do kind of look at UC San Diego as much different from last year, just in general. Like they're like same. The principles are the same there, but what made that team was they had the number one turnover margin in the country.
Yeah,
and they were like taking a ton of threes. They're taking a lot, but not as many threes this year. They're not turning it over a ton, but they're not forcing a ton of turnovers either.
And their center was like 6'6", drawing a million free throws somehow, and Hayden Gray had like 9 steals a game. Like, it was a ridiculous team last year. They're good this year. I like them, but it was crazy.
Kepich was awesome there, and he's done nothing for South Carolina. Yeah, all right. So those are our big game previews. It's time for a little bit of a whip around special. Let's go to USC at Michigan. This is actually a top 25 matchup in the AP poll. Michigan, which is not number one in the AP poll. Still insane to me. Michigan is, if you just look at their KenPom win probabilities, they don't have a game below 90%, but below 89% until January 30th.
Oh my God.
What do we think about
that's crazy. Sorry. That's wild.
All right, what do we think about this one?
I think Michigan wins. Bold take there.
Yeah.
I don't think it's going to be close.
Yeah, big week for USC though. With Michigan and Michigan State on the road. I think they'll probably fly back to LA empty-handed. They definitely won't walk back.
They're walking back. They're going to walk back after if they go empty-handed. Might make them walk back.
Well, they won't. Well, they have to play Minnesota after. They could maybe walk to Minnesota. I don't think they make it back for the Maryland game. But
it's a tough trip, man. They're not that far. I mean, they are far from Michigan, but like that's tough. That's brutal.
it's just a difficult kind of stretch to open up conference play, especially like you don't have Rodney Rice now for the entire season. That's what we know. This I just don't know what the matchup is that like would bother Michigan. Like Jonathan, do you like have any sort of thought?
No, I mean, all I really have to say is like, USC has to go to Michigan, then to Michigan State. Like, it's a tough road trip coming from SoCal, but on the bright side, at least their coach probably won't complain about any landmarks. So
we had to see Ford Field twice in a week.
It's true. What's Mom Spaghetti? You can go to Mom Spaghetti, the M&M.
We had to stay on 8 Mile.
Muss would say something like that.
Muss is probably getting a picture with the 8 Mile sign because he needs to click.
He actually might be M&M, to be honest.
All right, Ryan, any thoughts on Villanova Butler, Kansas UCF, North Carolina SMU?
You were right, by the way, how like conference play starting, and I'm like, oh my god, these games got to be bangers. I look at the schedule, and I'm like, it's not that great. It just happened to be that way with even next Saturday. If you look at next Saturday, it's very similar where there's like Florida, Tennessee, and a couple of good games. Nothing crazy yet, but I feel like they're just saving the good matchups, obviously, when they scheduled it for like later in the year when the students are back and all. But the Big East one's interesting. I think this is like, the Big East is not good. After UConn is a gap.
What was Jonathan's tweet?
What did you say?
Jonathan, what was your Big East tweet?
Oh, that there were like 3 watchable Big East games this year.
It honestly is like tough. Like I went to Seton Hall, like Sam, we were there at Seton Hall Nova. It was brutal to watch too. Like it was just like not pleasant, and that's going to be a lot of the Big East style games.
As Nova DePaul.
My fear is that like we're going to get to mid-February and like 3 or 4 of these teams are going to be possibly on the bubble just because they're going to win a lot of conference games, and we're going to have to watch them.
Well, that's what you're going to learn. You're going to learn this weekend because like Creighton just beat Butler. Butler's starting to dip into the tier where it's like, okay, you might be in the Providence group now where you can't get an at-large bid, but maybe if they beat Nova, then it's going to be like, okay, we really are just UConn and then everybody else. But if Villanova takes care of business, then Villanova is going to cement themselves as like, we could be the number 2 team here and we should be a tournament team this year. Like these are the games that you can't lose if you're Villanova at this point. They want to get an at-large bid. You can't lose games to teams that are you want to be a gap ahead in the Big East.
Yeah, they have the metrics right now. Just the resume needs to get there, or it's more so that like they can't bury the resume.
Right, just don't slip up. And more Big East games are going to bury you than help you. Sadly,
God, it's going to be awesome it's going to be awesome when we get to that Friday in the Big East tournament and we have 3 teams playing for bid stealers still.
Honestly, that'd be great if everyone's out except for UConn, and then someone just but UConn will just.
I'll be there. I'll be there at the Big East tournament on Friday night.
I actually don't think I'm going to this year. Now realizing what it's going to be, I might fly somewhere else.
Ooh, okay. Vegas for all those tournaments?
Usually I actually stay in this room.
Actually,
for conference tournaments and first weekend of the NCAA tournament. I like to stay in this exact room you see me in with that TV over there and then this screen and another screen over there. And I don't go anywhere. It's great.
All right, Ryan, you got anything else before we let you go?
Yes. No, I love you guys and appreciate you guys for having me on as always. I don't have any much more, but Hawaii, UC San Diego, Akron, Miami, Ohio, ESPN Plus doubleheader, banger, absolute bangers. NFL football, playoff scenarios, who cares? Who cares is all I got to say. You know who's getting in. It's okay. Don't worry about it. Ravens, Steelers, whatever.
It's easy for you to say that as a Jets fan.
Jets suck, okay? Life's easy over here. I'm blessed. Okay, I'm not worried. We're good.
All right. Thank you so much for coming on, Ryan. Can't wait to reciprocate the home and home on Blue
Of course. We're gonna do this soon. Are your lights flickering over there? What's going on over there?
Me?
Oh, I thought your lights were flickering.
No, I'm watching games I'm watching the MAC games on the big screens above me.
During MAC games recording? That's crazy. For you? Come on.
Well, I gotta find time to do it at some point, Ryan.
All right, I'll talk to you guys.
We've still got some more stuff that we've got to get into, Jonathan. I do want to talk a little bit about Kansas UCF. UCF, we mentioned them as a team that has been a little bit better in the metrics than we expected. They are the number 4 offensive rebounding. team in the country. This is, I believe, a building where UCF beat Kansas
Like
2 years
they've
ago.
beaten them there like 2 years in a row, I think.
Did they play them there last year?
No, oh, sorry, no. Last year was the game they beat them by like 50.
Yeah, last year was the year Kansas.
The year before they beat them at home.
And Kansas went from 13-8 and like stayed in the top 10 of Torvik of Ken Palm for like a month after that.
Until the mountain trip when they went and like got smoked in 2 games.
Was that? I feel like that was 2 years ago that Kansas got smoked on the mountain.
No,
trip.
last year BYU destroyed them.
Didn't they also get smoked on the mountain trip 2 years ago?
It's very possible. Kansas has not been a good road team the last 2 years.
Yeah. Okay. No, they didn't go on the mountain trip 2 years ago. I am definitely.
I know last year we were doing a pod and BYU was killing them.
Yeah, BYU beat them by 34.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's
they
get
also
back.
like lost to Utah on that trip, I think.
But Kansas's defense, elite. Obviously, we've been through this. 10-3. The losses are Carolina, Duke, and UConn. Like, this is.
Darren Peterson's supposed to play tomorrow.
Yeah, this is kind of like they hung in there without Darren Peterson. They got the NC State win, which was huge on the road. But at some point, they're going to need him for the whole season, not for 20 minutes, and then he goes and gets hurt again.
And goes on the stationary bike. Yeah.
Do we have any kind of UCF takes from this for this?
I think that their metrics are little inflated and they will lose tomorrow, but
yeah, I agree.
No, like they can shoot. They have an identity.
Yeah, I mean they can shoot. They don't take a ton of threes.
And the offensive rebound.
Yeah, I think this thing for them is second shots, but I also think like Kansas is just such a good disciplined defensive team. They don't let you make your shots. They can grab rebounds. They can stay and kind of play in different ways on defense, I think, as well.
Yeah, fairly good rebounding team themselves.
Yeah. UNC and SMU. SMU, Jonathan, I wrote this down. First 3 ACC games. Home against North Carolina, at Clemson, at Duke. That's pretty crazy.
That sounds like 3 quad 1 games, which means they're going 0-3.
SMU, as we obviously know, last season famously did not win a quad 1 game. They went 0-5 in their quad 1 games. This season, they will have they are now 0-2. Famously, again, winless in quad 1 games last year. It completely changes their season if they win one of these 3.
Can SMU go an entire presidential term without winning a quad 1 game? That's what I want to know.
Ooh. Well, they didn't win one in 23-24, and they won one in 22-23. Trivia time. What was SMU's last quad 1 win?
The one win in 2022-23?
Yes.
Was it a non-con or a conference?
Non-con.
Okay. That's going to be impossible to get then. I'm going to say they beat like Northwestern in an MTE.
No. It was an MTE. They beat Utah State in the Diamond Head Classic.
I have no recollection of that game occurring.
They actually did pretty well in that Diamond Head Classic. They beat Iona and Utah State, 2 teams that made the tournament that year.
Was that the year Hawaii won it? That may have been the year after.
No, I think it was. Hawaii won it at the buzzer.
Yeah. Against that SMU team?
Yes, against that SMU team.
Okay.
Meanwhile, freaking Iona and Utah State and the second to last Washington State team with Kyle Smith, the one that like won 7 in a row to end the season, was in. It was a good. It was a good Diamond Head, but Hawaii won it.
Yeah.
SMU. I don't really enjoy watching SMU that much. Just like. Any thoughts on this game though?
Hope SMU wins. I just don't find it likely.
I wonder if we get like the Jaden Toombs midseason breakout game. He obviously missed the first however much of the season, but he's only had like one like notable performance thus far. And I know you're a big fan of his, and I think if he can get going and if he can be an effective piece, that would really, really stand to benefit them in a game against a front court like North Carolina.
Yeah, they've started. I don't know if he was hurt at the start of the year or what, but they started to play him more. I think he can be effective for them. I would like SMU to win a quality game for the first time in 2 years before I start to take them seriously.
Yeah, I think I'm the same way here. UCLA,
that should not be too much to ask.
UCLA, Iowa, fun point guard matchup between Bennett Sturts and Donovan Dent. Jonathan, this game is being played at Carver Hawkeye Arena.
Yeah, two teams that want to play slow. Two teams that, are good offensive teams. You should be a fun, systematic basketball game.
I will note, UCLA's last 3 games, 71 possessions, 79 possessions, 78 possessions. 90 points, 108 points, 97 points. Something to keep an eye on. Are they playing faster because, it was Cal Poly and UC Riverside? Cal Poly obviously wants to play really fast. Arizona State also, I think, plays pretty fast. And Riverside, not super fast, but will they want to, going forward, play fast? I mean, Iowa is not going to let anyone play fast. But something to note, because we did think going into the season that they needed, in order to get the best out of Donovan, that they needed to play faster. And I think that's just something to know coming into this game. Purdue, Wisconsin, just another schedule note for the Badgers here. They face Purdue, then UCLA, and then Michigan. So 3 notable games to get started here, and then they play Minnesota, Rutgers, Penn State, and we probably won't talk a ton about them through that stretch.
Not many nights off in the Big Ten.
Yeah, no, not many nights off in the Big Ten, but Wisconsin has a couple of them early, comparatively, versus almost immediately coming after this really, really difficult stretch. Again, I don't think they're going to beat Purdue. I don't think they're going to beat Michigan. The UCLA, but that kind of makes it so you probably can't really lose to UCLA. Boise State at San Diego State. This was a conversation that I actually wanted to have with Ryan because he and Adam mentioned it on Blue Blooded. Is the Mountain West headed for one bid?
Yeah, I think it might be. New Mexico losing to Boise a couple nights ago really put them in a bad spot.
Yeah, because that New Mexico win at VCU and the Santa Clara win obviously could have been really
all
good.
these teams are going to lose road games because you don't win on the road in the Mountain West.
No. Yeah, it's
San Diego State did not get a single good non-conference win, and in fact, had a really bad non-conference loss.
Boise State bad non-conference.
There's just not enough quality opportunities for them to make up ground unless they, beat all of the top teams on the road.
Yeah, and Colorado State's metrics got pounded by the Utah State loss, and then pounded again. Colorado State's metrics are down 28 spots from where they were 2 weeks ago.
Grand Canyon's lost one game that they shouldn't have, but their metrics aren't very good. It's really just Utah State.
I mean, Wyoming is 10-3, but they don't have any interesting wins. Would we be talking about it differently if Wyoming had beaten Texas?
They also lost at home to GCU.
Yeah, just really not a good spot for this.
No, it might be one.
And you still have the landmines that have tripped up these teams in the past. You still have your random landmine.
It almost happened to San Diego State a couple nights ago.
Yeah,
I mean, they were scratching and clawing at San Jose State, who was probably the second worst team in the league, maybe third.
Second worst or third worst. And man, can we UNLV just really disappointing.
UNLV
I
is
know
not
they
good,
have,
but like they could play up to anyone.
yeah, and like as we saw, they won at Memphis and they won at Stanford.
Mm-hmm.
Like what are we doing here in the Mountain West?
No, I think the league's just going to cannibalize itself, and we're going to be sitting here at late February. It's going to be like, okay,
You
like
think-
your path to 2 wins is Utah State is like securely in, and
Yeah, I mean,
somebody
that was the
wins
thing.
the
Like,
tournament.
how does Utah State get in? Like, how does the league, like, what does Utah State need to do to be
Like, listen, their metrics are good. They're 31st in Ken Palm, but like the quality wins aren't going to be there. Like losing at GCU right now, I think is quad 2, right? Like that's not good.
Losing at
You're gonna have to win the road games at Boise, at New Mexico, at San Diego State. Like outside of that, like everything is gonna be like, okay,
yeah, but if you win those road games, then those teams are going to drop, and they're not going to be as, and like if they keep cannibalizing themselves, I just don't think there's enough opportunity for the league to grow in the metrics. Jonathan? All right, I don't know if I'm frozen or if Jonathan's frozen. I think Jonathan's frozen. But I'm going to move on if you can still hear me. Yep, all right, Jonathan's gone. Okay. Let me move on to Creighton Seton Hall, because I think we've kind of exhausted the Mountain West conversation. Creighton Seton Hall, again, Creighton has kind of boosted themselves in the metrics a decent amount over the last week or so. Jonathan says Wi-Fi just crashed. Okay. Creighton and Seton Hall. Creighton now has 3 pretty important games coming up with this, and then at Villanova, and then St. John's. Those are Big East games that you really need to be winning if you want to make the NCAA tournament. But again, then how will those teams stay metrically and stay resume-wise in those spots? The Big East just didn't do enough in non-conference play. But Creighton is doing themselves a service, building up the metrics for themselves right now, back up to 43rd in Ken Palm, which I think is they're not the 43rd best team in the country, but maybe they can get themselves some nice wins here. Jonathan?
With Creighton, are you saying?
Yeah, Creighton's got Seton Hall on Sunday at Seton Hall.
Yeah, they dug themselves a hole. So like, not really much room for error with them.
Yeah, but they've built the metrics as we've mentioned. All right, you have anything on the?
I'm looking at the rundown here. I think the ship has sailed on the Stanford is better than their metrics indicate.
Okay. I think that's fair.
Losing at home to Notre Dame, like.
I think that's fair. I also think there's a good chance they get better over the course of the season.
I've kind of accepted that it's just going to be a tough loss for St. Louis. Like,
yeah, no, definitely going to be a tough loss for St. Louis.
As good as St. Louis is.
I don't think there's anything else to discuss from that category. There's things we saw. Utah Valley up to 12-3. They had a big week against Cal Baptist and Tarleton. They went on the road to beat Tarleton in a game where they were down, they were up. It was kind of back and forth. Dior Johnson scored 36, and then They obviously beat Cal Baptist earlier in the week. Cal Baptist has now started, by the way, 0-2 in conference play after losing to UT Arlington. Jackson Holcomb and Trevin Lionheart for Utah Valley have been a really fun duo. This is a team with a lot of positional size, as I've mentioned. 12-3, 7 wins in a row. Projected to go 15-3 in the WAC. There will be 3 matchups against each team because it's a 7-team league.
Yeah, they've already knocked off 2 of the better teams in the league. So I know they're going to have to play these teams 2 more times, but good basketball team.
Want to then go quickly to the SoCon, where we had Furman defeat Mercer earlier in the week. Furman now 10-4. It has won 9 of its last 10 games. The only loss was by 7 to Illinois State, which I'll let Jonathan get into the Redbirds in a moment. But they got a big lift late from Alex Wilkins, who might be the most under-discussed and under-known. I don't want to call him underrated because everybody that knows about Alex Wilkins knows how good he is. But he's been special for Furman this year. 20 points, 7 assists in this game. It's kind of a 6'5" guard. That
was he a freshman that was on our radar?
I don't think he was. Might have been on yours, but I don't think I had him on mine.
I remember him being. Listen, I read a lot of names down. I don't remember his. I want to say, was there another Furman freshman? No.
Yeah, because I didn't have him on my radar.
No, I don't think he was on mine. I can go look.
He's a NetBack guy. He was Brooks.
Oh, then definitely not. Unless for some reason I saw him in AAU.
Middlesex Magic.
No, that would.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, Richie finds talent. Like,
all right,
always
Jonathan,
has.
do you know what it's time for?
Valley update.
Valley update. Go.
Oh, dude, I have been thrilled with this league lately. First of all, that's every team. There's 5 teams right now with 0 losses or 1 loss through like 4 games ish or 3 games in conference play. All 5 of those teams are my top 5 in the league, and the teams that are undefeated are the teams I had 1 through 3. So really good start for me on the year. Illinois State has like definitively turned a corner and is really, really good. Like, their schedule hasn't been super hard in conference play yet, but like went to SIU and won, pummeled Indiana State, pummeled Drake, pummeled Evansville. Like, defense has massively improved from a year ago. Like, massively improved. They're up like almost 50 spots in KenPom from the preseason. And, like we've said, Tyree Coleman's really changed the team, gives them another dimension, a guy who can attack the basket. But it's not just him. Like, Ty Pence's athleticism has been a real difference maker, and he's come on as a good offensive player in the last like month or so. So outside of the Redbirds, like, league's pretty good. League's balanced up and down. Like, the standings don't reflect that yet, but KenPom sort of does. Like, there are 4 teams right now from this league in the top 100, and only 2 teams outside the top 200. That's UIC 201, Evansville at 273rd, who's clearly the worst team in the league. Sam, Murray State, like, they've figured it out, man. This is, it's not the ceiling that we thought they could have, but like, Ryan Miller was a really good hire, and this team is clicking. Okay, King has been fantastic for them. His physical advantage over the rest of the league, outside of like maybe Chase Walker, is very noticeable. Doman coming off the bench and playing the way he has been phenomenal to watch. Like, consistently around like 12, 13 a game. Has scored 20 against Valpo last week, 2 weeks ago. Like, man,
wait, whoa. Khalil Singleton has 28 points in the first half.
Seriously?
8 threes. I'm only like kind of watching that game because like it's up, but whoa. Okay, go on with the Valley update.
Yeah, no, that's perfectly fine interruption. I texted you about Northern Iowa the other day. Like, every game with them is like the same. Like, they just like grind it out because they play really slow and, really tough, a physical team that, isn't a good offensive team, but Ben Jacobson's teams always have an identity, and, it's always super impressive the way they win consistently. Belmont, hat tip to Tyler Lundblade. He's been far better than I thought he was going to be, has really taken a alpha role in the last month or so. I know the usage rate isn't substantially higher than last year, but he is putting up really, really good numbers. So and then Bradley has figured it out from their early season struggles were real. They lost 4 of their first 7, I think it was. Struggled against the bad UMass Lowell team. They've turned a corner here. Their loss to Belmont yesterday was the first time that they had lost since November 25th. And they beat Liberty, Washington State, Indiana State, Southern Illinois, teams that are definitely formidable. And Jaquan Johnson has been, he's going to be first team all conference. No doubt about it.
All right, Jonathan. Is that your Valley update?
Yeah. One more thing. I still believe in SIU. They haven't won the games to show it yet, but I think they're way better than their record shows.
I kind of I don't disagree. The losses have not been blowouts recently.
Nor have they really lost to anyone bad.
Yeah. Just
Nevada, 66th in Ken Palm, took them to overtime. Richmond was an overtime game on the road.
I would not be surprised if SIU
the Memphis game, they haven't gotten blown out.
I would not be surprised if SIU keeps getting better or just kind of hangs around enough. Maybe doesn't have the best record, but hangs around enough to give some teams some fits later in the season.
They're the team that I'll be swearing up and down. In March, we'll make a run in St. Louis at the Valley Tournament, only for them to get pummeled on quarterfinal day.
Yeah,
which has happened with me the last 2 years.
Yeah, Belmont 2 years
and then
ago,
Illinois
right?
State last year.
Yeah. All right, Atlantic 10. I do want to get in some thoughts on the A10. St. Louis, Jonathan, just absolutely eviscerated St. Joe's. The Billikens are 13-1. They have scored 100 points, Jonathan. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times. 6 games. Again, one of them was a non-D1. So 5 of their 13 games against Division I opponents, they've scored 100 points, including their first conference game. Robbie Avila was awesome in this one. They just have so many scorers, so many guys. Amari McCautry was their best player for the first month. He has not been quite as good recently. He only scored 2 points in this game, but whatever. That's kind of they just have so many guys that can go out there and be a scorer, be a passer, be a playmaker, just be an offensive machine. 1.56 points per possession in this game, Jonathan.
Yeah, and they also have the athleticism to pair with it, Quentin Jones, Paul Atieno, those guys, and Trey Green too. Those guys are, they are part of what makes it work. This isn't just a team that shoots. They have athletic guys that can finish around the rim.
St. Joe's now 8-6, and Deuce Jones leaves the program. It's going to be a rough year for the Hawks. Already down at 205 in Ken Palm. We will still flap, but Deuce Jones is no longer flapping.
I like that you just have Loyola grab as a win on here.
Yeah, no, Loyola is going to.
How many points in our league?
Loyola, Jonathan, I promise you this is going to happen, is going to be that team that gives someone a terrible loss. They gave Santa Clara a terrible loss.
So they beat Santa Clara. That's a game that it wasn't a road game, but they were out of the West Coast for it, right?
Yeah, it was in San Jose.
Okay. So they beat Santa Clara, and then they win at Rhode Island. They were 313 in Ken Palm. They're now up to 282. Is Loyola turning a corner?
Ever so slightly.
What if Loyola just all of a sudden became oh yeah, or we're one of the better teams.
Like
in the
what
A10.
they did a couple of years ago when they were like 6-5,
but they weren't this bad.
Yeah, no, not even close. But they won the league that year.
Yeah,
like I don't think they'll win the league this year. But like, would anyone like if they went 5-13? Like, would you be truly shocked?
Well, they're projected 4-14 right now, so no. Like, if you had asked me, but if you asked me, like, if Loyola went 7-11, I don't think I'd be that shocked either.
Yeah, that would be awful for the A10, considering what happened in the non-con.
I don't understand how their defense is so bad. Like, Miles Rubin is playing really well.
February 13th, Friday night, Friday 10, ESPN2, St. Louis at Loyola Chicago.
Friday, what's the date on that?
February 13th. We cannot afford us St. Louis
we may
at-large
have to have boots on the ground at that one.
We definitely will. You will, at least. VCU's like KenPom is really good. The Torvik isn't quite there, but like if they could keep building up these metrics, and like the metrics are good, like as long as they don't take like a horrible loss. If VCU can go,
Virginia Tech and South Florida keep playing better, it helps them.
Yeah, and like,
none of the losses except like New Mexico wasn't great, but like the three other ones don't look horrible right now.
Yeah, and I mean New Mexico could still like that. There's a good chance that could still potentially end up being quad 2.
The problem is that like half the games in this league against like inferior opponents, you're like fighting for your life and can't run up scores.
Yeah, that's. I mean, unless you're St. Louis against St. Joe's.
St. Joe's just a corpse.
Yeah, St. Joe's is going to be bad, but that win for VCU against St. Bonaventure though, just gritty. Was down big for down big late. I think they were down. They're down 7 in the second half. They came back, got the win. Bonaventure's a physical team. VCU was just able to get to the line a lot. Brandon Jennings did. They got killed on the glass. They got killed on the glass by St. Bonaventure, but they didn't turn it over. They made their free throws, and they just did. And Bonaventure couldn't stop them inside, and that was the key. And I mean, Bonaventure's a good team. Obviously, the loss to Ohio kind of took a lot of wind out of their sails, but they're still 11-3 right now. I mean, they're a team to watch. Duquesne gets the double overtime win over Davidson. Duquesne, like, probably not good, but 9-5. They'll be tough. Terrence Ginyard's one of the best players in this conference, no doubt about that. Davidson kind of finally got Davidson. I felt was kind of finally getting there. They were 8-2, and then they lost to Temple, and that was like just they should not be losing to Temple at home. And then you lose to Duquesne. So kind of season getting tipped the scales a little bit. You got St. Joe's and Loyola, two potential wins on the road to get you going here before Rhode Island and then at GW. Want to see how this Davidson team kind of develops over the course of the year, but they kind of need to start picking up some wins again. All right, Jonathan.
Well, I wonder if McKillop's on the hot seat.
I don't know. I mean, I know that some of their fans are.
They're 8-5. Like the last two home losses have not been good.
Yeah,
but
I'm going to just quickly give you a couple thoughts on some other teams that in conferences that we haven't discussed. First, in the CAA, we've had CAA play is underway. A lot of us, including me, we all wrote off Charleston after the first month and a half, I think, of the season. They were 4-6. They have since won 5 in a row. They got Colby Duggan back. He was one of the best players in the CAA at Campbell last year. Now he's back. He's played the last 2 games. They're 2-0 in conference play. They got a road win at a good Elon team. So big test coming up at home for Charleston on Monday against William and Mary. It's going to be on CBS Sports Network. Definitely a must-watch game in the CAA to see if Charleston is legit, and obviously William and Mary's been awesome, and Towson's been Towson's now 0-2 in conference play. They lost to Hampton. That was a bad loss. Hofstra, we know they're good. Would also like to shout out Charleston Southern, which has not finished in the top 300 of KenPom since 2019, but they are right now 226th. They won their first Big South game. They beat Gardner-Webb. Gardner-Webb's really, really bad. But that win over Richmond, it's a good win for them, without a doubt. Bryson Blaine, one of the best scorers in the country, at least for the first month of the season, has cooled off a little bit, but still 45 made threes in the Division I games. I think they also played a couple non-D1 games where he hit a bunch. So he's really good. And so that's good for them in that conference. And then in the SWAC, the SWAC is 28th in KenPom right now, Jonathan. They have not been higher than 30th since 1998. So this is the best we've seen the SWAC in a while. Southern, Grambling.
Did you say 1998?
1998. They have not been higher than 30th.
Wow.
Bethune is 3-10, but the metrics are decent because they played some teams close, ish.
Dude,
maybe the Auburn game might be doing some really heavy lifting for them.
Mississippi Valley State is so close to being out of the basement in KenPom.
Really?
It's a marginal difference. Coppin State's a minus 21.
Dude, do you know who Coppin State beat on the road?
It's UIC, right?
No, they beat Ryder.
Oh, no, that's bad.
Yeah.
I know UIC lost to somebody bad. It might have been Pine Bluff. I can't remember who.
UIC lost.
It was Pine Bluff.
Yeah, they lost to Pine Bluff. And they almost lost to Chicago State.
So,
all right.
It's the landline again.
Yeah, Mississippi Valley State close to getting out of the basement, but they're still, them and Coppin, 7 points worse than everyone else.
I think if those two didn't play, did they?
No.
They need to play.
Mm-hmm.
That game needs to happen.
Didn't we get like last year, like Mississippi Valley State against like 364? Was it like, I think it was Arkansas Pine Bluff last year.
Did they just get smoked?
No, it was they won. They won at Arkansas Pine Bluff.
Oh, they did.
Or was it?
It was their only D1 win.
I think it might have been 2 years ago. They played like the other like 360 something and got smoked. No, never mind. They didn't play someone that bad 2 years. I mean, they played Pacific, the Pacific team that was down like by 40 in the first round of the WCC tournament.
Mississippi Valley State played Mizzou last year, and it was a waste of everyone's time.
Huh? Got to get those checks. Take
the checks. Take the losses.
All right, Jonathan. You want to take us home?
Oh, you don't have anything else?
No. I mean, I had a list of other teams to discuss, but I just kind of want to get out.
Okay. Any college football playoff thoughts?
Oh, that's a good place to go.
I know you were busy writing yesterday. I don't know how.
Shout out Trinidad Chambliss.
Dude, that game was awesome.
What have I been telling you about Trinidad Chambliss?
I have him as like quarterback 3, I think, right now.
For the draft or just in college?
In the draft. But
he's awesome.
What was funny to me is that like just like looking at the semis on paper, it's crazy.
Indiana,
Oregon, Ole Miss, Miami. Trinidad is
we either get Mario Cristobal playing for the national championship or a team whose coach left them playing for the national championship.
So you occasionally listen to Cover 3. I know
I've been listening to it a lot recently.
So you know the whole blue chip ratio?
Yes.
Right? How hilarious would it be is if Indiana Miami won the semis and the blue chip ratio, like it's staying alive, came down to Mario Cristobal.
Can we make an exception?
I mean, that's the thing, though. Indiana is the exception. Like,
Yeah. And Miami's the other. Well, there's a lot. There's probably a bunch of blue chip ratio teams that are like ass, or at least
yeah, like I mean, Auburn and Florida to name
Auburn
a
was a
few.
blue chip ratio team.
And Florida, like
I just think that honestly, if Miami were to play Indiana, it would be a safety issue.
I also have a. I also have. I usually have like one big takeaway from the whatever the New Year's Day games are. Like 2 years ago it was the semifinals. This year my takeaway was it's like never been more important in college football to have really good coordinators.
Agreed.
So, like the play calling has never been more meaningful.
Merrimack 4-0 in the MAC. Shout out.
Merrimack?
Yep, they're about to beat Mount St. Mary's.
Gallo, man.
Niagara up 15 on Sacred Heart, by the way. Like, Sacred Heart, wake up.
Dude, have you seen who Mizzou's going to get in the portal?
Football? Who?
Yeah, in the last hour.
Who?
Austin Simmons.
Oh, gross.
Like, he's hopefully going to be the backup, but
I don't think Austin Simmons wants to be a backup.
He was terrible in the 2 games he played at Ole Miss.
He could start somewhere. Not at Mizzou.
I said last year, or I said earlier in the year that the Sun Belt was going to be calling Austin Simmons his name. Unfortunately, Eli Drinkwitz had other plans.
All right, Jonathan. You want to take us home?
Yeah. If you came to hear about Tyler Self and where he's working, you came to the right place. If you came to hear about Trinidad Chambliss, you came to the right place. And if you came to hear about the latest happenings with Caleb Grill, you came to the right place. This has been Season 6, Episode 64 of Brackets, Bubbles, and Bit Steelers, and we'll see you next time.